Good morning. It's Monday morning. We're on Psalm 124. We made a quick trip to see my parents, and I think I missed Saturday morning, didn't I? Well, here we are, Psalm 124, another song of ascents. If it had not been the Lord who was on our side, let Israel now say, if it had not been the Lord who was on our side when people rose up against us, then they would have swallowed us up alive. When their anger was kindled against us, then the flood would have swept us away, the torrent would have gone over us. Then over us would have gone the raging waters. Blessed be the Lord who has not given us as prey to their teeth. We have escaped like a bird from the snare of the fowlers. The snare is broken and we have escaped. Our help is in the name of the Lord who made heaven and earth. That last verse, verse 8, our help is in the name of the Lord who made heaven and earth, was one that John Calvin used to start off many worship services, if not every worship service that he preached at. And he preached on Sundays and he preached on, Monday and Thursday or something. He was always talking somewhere. And he would get up and he would say, our help is in the name of the Lord who made heaven and earth. That was just the way that he began a worship service or something, a lecture, I suppose. So that was one of his favorite verses. In context, it's all this stuff, the people would have, the enemies would have swept us away like a flood, or like a bird trapped in a trap. We would have been trapped, but we are not trapped because God has rescued us and has set us free. Our help is in the name of the Lord. Reminds me a little bit of when one of my daughters was doing a project for the maybe the 8th grade or 9th grade, 10th grade, somewhere in there. She had all these middle schoolers over at the house, and they were all in the backyard. And they'd set up all these toys on this playset thing that we had. It was about 4 feet off the ground. And then she pointed at it on camera. They took a little movie of this and said, "This is Johnsonburg." And then they got the hose and sprayed all the toys off the playset, and then they said, "This is the Johnsonburg flood of 1924 or whatever it was, a terrible thing that happened." And that was how they acted out this flood. I always think of the flood waters would have just wiped us all away like those toys off the top of the playset. That's the image you get, exactly the image you get when you read the scripture of the flood washing away the people of Israel. Of course, the Jordan, they were familiar with floods because the river would be like a trickle, and then it would, in the spring, it would be much more of a river. It wasn't a river like we think of them in North Carolina, where there's always water, but it would fluctuate. And when it flooded, and when there was a lot of water, then anything in the way would be swept away. When there was less water, of course, it wouldn't happen. And so they were aware of these differences in how flooding worked and what floods could do. And that's a great image for the enemy coming and just wiping away, taking away everything that's there. But our help is in the name of the Lord, and he is the one who protects us from this flood, protects us from the enemies, protects us from all these bad things. So let's take comfort and shelter in the name of the Lord. You have a great Monday, and we will see you tomorrow.